Hello, hello, and welcome back to Minotaur Hotel. We're gonna talk to the Snake Chan over here. It'll be a good time. You know, he's a trustworthy fella. I like him. You find the snake coiled up in an out-of-the-way corner of the room, with his coffee far away from the other guests, who even now give him a wide breath. Is this breath? At your approach, his expression ceases into the self-sustaining smirk with which you've become so familiar. Well, there he is, the hero of the hour. Hail, most auspicious master. Can it, Argos? You've got a lot of explaining to do. He has the courtesy to look ashamed at that. I suppose I do, don't I? I told you, did I not? It is my purpose, my reason for being, to bring suffering and anguish to the hybrid bull. And I must, do all I can to fulfill that mandate, regardless of my own thoughts on the matter. Even now, I slither like Aesops, a viper from your home, ready to sink my fangs into your breast as soon as you embrace me. I really am the most detestable serpent, aren't I? His eyes drift away from your own, over towards Sterion, and they grow warm and soft like cotton. And the bull is quite fair and honorable. Look how he comforts those in distress and directs your employees to best accomplish his designs. Truly a fine prince, worthy of the title. Did you hit your head when Hermes had you pinned or something? All this time it's been prisoner this, heifer that, and now you almost sound like you admire him. Don't forget that it's your fault he's having to deal with this mess in the first place, since you crashed the party. His tail smacks against the floor as he considers that, and when he turns back towards you, he's grinning once again. Well then, it's a good thing I did. What better opportunity for the bull to show his truest character, And what better opportunity for you to do the same? Argos, what are you really doing? What are you really trying to do? I doubt almost getting your brains bashed in was part of your plan. What are you doing all this? Why are you doing all of this? And don't give me that bullshit about the gods and fulfilling the will of the labyrinth. If all that wasn't just you screwing with me, it was one of your precious gods who just tried to kill you. So what the hell is really going on here? Demands mean nothing. You know what you know. You know. From this time forth, I never will speak word. Wait. From this time forth, I never will speak word. He only manages a few seconds of trembling lipped silence before losing himself in a fit of giggling. Kidding. Sorry, I always wanted to say that. Listen, it's a very, very long story, and I don't want to have to repeat myself, so I'll wait until I can tell it to you, to both you and your beloved bull. Will that be acceptable? Well, good master, will you nourish even the viper within your bosom until he may stand proper trial for his crimes? All right, fine. Until then, just hang on, I guess. The hotel is meant to be a place of rest for everyone in need, and we don't turn away anyone. But I don't want to hear about you causing any more trouble, all right? If you try to derail things again, I won't have any problem with throwing you out on your ass. Tail? Whatever. Who? Me? Oh no. I swear by the sticks, I shall not cause any more trouble for you or Asterion. I've been far too close to tasting its waters, far more than enough for one lifetime, thank you very much. Instead, I think I shall see how my tongue prefers that wine your bull chef is handing out. Don't you dare make trouble for him either. He holds up a conciliatory hand. I know. I promise to be on my best behavior. Now then, it looks like your partner is craving your attention and company, and I'm sure you consider him far better at the latter than I could ever be. Go on, run along. Oh, there he goes. Argos shoos you away with one last smirk, and with a roll of your eyes, you leave him be for the moment in favor of seeking out your dear partner. You return to Asterion's side, bumping his shoulder with your own. He gives you a tender smile in return, and then the two of you slip out of the lounge together. There is yet one more person you need to check in on. You and Asterion head towards the very same infirmary to which you'd taken him after your first encounter in the cold room. The brightness of the lounge gives way to half-lit hallways, the stretching shadows, and the increasingly distant sounds of the party. And the silence grows. The air around you becomes velvety and intimate, and the distance between you and your darling narrows. Your forearm brushes his, and then the back of your hands touch and almost turn to entwine your fingers together. You exchange a glance, a smile, and lay your palm upon his back for the final seconds before reaching the infirmary's door. The two of you stop, face each other, and take a step closer. You tidy Asterion's dress shirt and adjust his chalmses? And then rub his cheeks to smooth the fur sticking out. I wasn't expecting our night to end like this. My plan was to give you a celebration to remember, with everyone seeing us together on the same level.
It is all right. When hardship comes, the leader must stand to face it.
And how are you feeling? Is everything all right? Your darling lifts his gaze to the ceiling, as though seeking guidance to the unseen constellations far above. He ponders every word.
I feel odd. On some level, I understand. I should be afraid and nervous, but I cannot find much space in my mind now for uncertainty. We must resolve the situation.
He lets out a soft huff.
And I feel as though all of these emotions will only hit me after we are past the worst of it.
He licks his lips, opens his mouth, and leaves it there, hanging upon an impulse pushes him to say it.
If this man truly is Hermes, then...
His tail gives a nervous thrash. His gaze avoids yours.
Lord Zeus above, please forgive what I had to do. It is said that not even the gods can fight necessity, so...
You touch his arm. Will you need a minute? Your darling takes a long, deep breath, holds it, exhales slowly. He looks back to you.
I will get through it. Come what may. However, do you remember the transcripts that you gave me? I could ascertain, surely, that, at the very least, the testimony of Lord Hades was authentic. If we assume the others are legitimate as well, then, thousands of years ago, Hermes and the son of Maia was favorable to my cause. Perhaps that sentiment persists to this day. I know not what shall come. However, that is only a guess. A guess. But I know you and I are together in this.
This time, it's his turn to tidy your clothes.
A beautiful man is beautiful to see, but a good man will at once also beautiful be, and you, my lord, are the finest in the entire realm, perhaps even the wider world.
You brush a finger under his chin. He giggles and looks away, but when his gaze returns, he's an inch closer. Still calling me lord, even after what happened today.
I can have my fun however I please, can I not? Especially after all that has occurred.
Before you can respond with another witty comeback, however, you hear some movement from inside the infirmary. Koda opens the door and pops his head out.
There you are. We were waiting for you.
We were coordinating. Has he woken up?
Yes, just a minute ago. Not a second before he opens his eyes, he asked for a cup of coffee.
Indeed, the smell of fresh brewed coffee lingers in the air as you and Asterion enter the room. It's almost invigorating, given the circumstances. The sight you're presented with, however, is anything but. You find Hermes sitting up on the bed, his gaze aimed at the wall across from him. His face is slashed by a dozen new wrinkles. Suddenly, he seems years older. He's immobile, save for his hands holding the coffee mug. They are almost convulsing, spilling the piping hot liquid onto his arms and clothes. You and your darling exchange a glance to see who speaks first. But Hermes takes the opportunity himself.
I am mortified.
He makes an attempt at sipping his coffee, but all he accomplishes is spilling more of it on the sheets. Asterion watches the cup, barely hiding his disconcertment. Disconcertment. Okay. The god's hands shake in a perfect rhythm, like a metronome, and he doesn't even flinch as the piping hot darkness drips down his skin.
But my father's name. I owe you an apology and an explanation. First, the former. I committed a grave misdeed by abusing your hospitality, and I deeply regret it. I am a son of Zeus, and so should have known far better. But once a thing has already been done, only then does the fool see it. And to make it perfectly clear, I was the only one present who did wrong tonight. I hold no grudge over what happened. You have in your breast an iron heart, Asterion. And you throw a mean punch.
The prince's ears droop. For a brief second, true fear crosses his face as he remembers all sorts of tragic fates associated with the myths of Hermes. But the god's laugh manages to calm his nerves.
I told you, I deserved it, and hold no grudge. In truth, maybe you have earned the right to punch a god, after all that Olympus has thrown your way. You can rest assured I will not fight with you, and it is a hard thing to come to blows with a son of Zeus who gathers clouds. No. Soon you may freely speak among the immortal gods and claim that you were stronger than I and beat me.
He breathes in and then out, perfectly even and measured, like the mechanical motion of a bellow.
Now for the explanation.
As Hermes speaks, his words seem to stumble all over themselves.
By my father's name, I wanted to. There is something I have to discuss with you two. But I went about it in the worst way possible. I can't even recall what I was thinking, how I justified it, or why I even thought this was the best way of going about it. I wanted, I tried to help. I didn't even plan on it at first. My better judgment told me to keep quiet and watch from afar. But then, I got all those ideas. It just made sense, you know. It felt right.
I'm afraid I don't know. And neither do I understand what felt right.
I mean this.
He raises his arms and gestures to the wall, to the furniture, to Kota, spilling the remainder of his coffee all over the bedsheets.
This.
What in the world? He cannot recall it, not in English nor in any language at all. As the realization of his predicament sets in, the god's face contorts into sorrowful horror. The hotel? A spark in the darkness illuminates, the fog recedes, and the lines on his face grow a touch more shallow.
Yes, that. I like it. I always enjoyed the idea, which is why I kept quiet about it and never told any of the others. Only I could come here, you see. But the masters, they were tricky. I had no way of knowing if this screeching crow, that cursed brat Athena, still had her claws in them. Couldn't run any risk. They could snitch, and it's all come crumbling down. So I kept my distance, doing the least that I could, and just let you, Asterion, do your thing. But then came Clement, and you know how that went. The man, he destroyed over it. For a century now, he's been trying to make amends and tie up loose ends, so that mess shook up and ate away at him. But there was nothing we could do. We had to wait for Clement to die, and when he did, the deed reverted to the old man. So now you see what I'm getting at. The old man wanted a definitive solution for Asterion's situation, so he told me he was going to hand the deed over to someone decent, but then You need to understand, he's senile. His mind is no longer there, and he's deteriorating faster every decade. I tried to reason with him, but he wouldn't listen. He was in a hurry. I don't know what he was thinking. Half the time he didn't even know where he was. But he picked you, because he saw something good.
The god's gaze, its sharpness dulled, moves over to you.
He asked me to keep an eye on you, and maybe in 10 or 20 years I could come over and talk, because this time we could be sure you weren't a lackey for the brat. But the old man, he's getting worse, so much worse, and you saw what I was like tonight. I've managed to avoid it, but now it's getting to me, and it's coming fast, so I had to expedite things. I sent you people I thought were decent, and I told the Argos.
He looks down to his hands, the very same ones that gripped the stone which nearly ended the snake's life.
Oh, father, what was I thinking? How could I?
The metronome shaking of his hands travels up his arms and then takes over the rest of his body. Before the gods can lose himself once more, however, the Minotaur's sweet-sounding voice calls him back.
Setting that aside for the moment.
When the god's gaze returns to him, your darling begins to fidget. He shifts his hooves on the tiled floor and pinches at the fur and flesh of his arms. Your hand upon the Minotaur's steep white back, however, calms and centers him.
Lord Hermes, you keep referring to the old man who gave the hotel's deed to Mr. Josh. We were under the impression that was Clement. You delivered that letter from him, after all, in which he spoke about his regret.
Hermes laughs, the sound huffing out of him in perfect intervals, which set your teeth on edge. Then he cuts his mirth off, like a knife slicing through a cord.
Oh, that! No. That was from the old man, too. Written in one of his more lucid states, of course, but I'm sure you could tell it wasn't really all there.
Hermes pauses and looks off. Could there be terror, even in the eyes of a god? He tenses up for a shivering moment, then looks back to you and Asterion.
Clement's been dead for months. After all, how else would the old man have gotten ownership of the deed? I see. So then, Lord Hermes, sir, who is it? Another of the Olympians, I suppose. Not Lord Hades. I would have recognized this handwriting.
Indeed.
Worried about him, are you?
Another weak burbling? Uniform in length and tone. A peal of laughter.
Don't be. Uncle Hades and I have kept in touch. He was one of my more admirable employers, too, after all. And he's been doing, well as can be expected. Oh. Good. That's good. As for the old man, well, as you probably guessed, he was one of those amongst the 12 who were in your favor.
Then why'd you even say it came from Clement? Why did you lie?
I don't know.
He seeks within himself and finds nothing. Where is he? He bellows, the bellow pump faster and faster, working in vain to stave off the thickening fog. His face contorts in confusion, shame, bitter remorse, frightful and unfamiliar to one such as he.
Oh, Father, what have I done?
The last full body shiver sends the mug tumbling from his a slackened grip. It bounces slightly and then settles upon the coffee-soaked sheet, which are still rumpled in the shape of a sudden absent form. Like a light blinking out, Hermes is gone. Outside the infirmary, the festivities continue. Still a little muted, but as the wine flows and thoughts drift away from the earlier disturbance, cheers return to the heart of the hotel's tenants. At least to most of them. Silence and unnoticed, one of the guests edged away from the crowd. He watched the revelry for a long and lonely moment, and then turns away. The life and joy which fills the room is not for him. He slips like a shadow out of the lounge, out of the reception, out of the hotel's front door. Look at the sweater. Oh, that's incredible. Okay, I'll end the part here. I'll see you around, everyone.